And welcome back to the Nutrimedical Report, and Ryan's here, one of our main team guys for the Nutrimedical team, and we are plowing through the Z to A. I will kind of weave it into some of our latest nutraceutical consultations. And just to repeat for those people who haven't heard, if you're one of our elite NutriMed customers, you don't need to worry. You will be able to get access to emails and phone consults at no charge. And if you're not one of our elite, and the only one that determines that is Michelle, you will require a consultation by email or phone to be paid first before we will respond. I am so swamped now, I cannot respond to questions, especially those who ask questions and never continue through our NutriMedical protocols and actually follow my advice. It's a waste of my time. So if you're willing to get a consultation, you're probably going to actually take my advice and do it, which may include, by the way, a conventional medical treatment, because I'm not just here to, quote, sell vitamins. I'm here to sell wellness, which may include sometimes conventional surgeons or unconventional clinics, such as in Mexico, where you get a Coles vaccine or a dendritic vaccine against cancer, hyperthermia treatments, or other types of therapy. You need to know that I'm going to provide you the full integration of the best of nutrition and medicine. That's why it's called Nutrimedical. So we're not just playing around here. We're dealing with serious things with people's health, whether they have congestive heart failure, dementia, a weird genetic disorder such as Fabry's disease. I had a recent consult request from someone. That's a complex question. If they want full metabolic support therapy, they're going to have to pay for me to spend the time to research it, pull up all the research papers, and provide both the conventional and advanced medical care that's available on that topic. So for our elite people, you're going, and then Michelle's the only one that determines that. So Ryan, let's plow through some more of our nutraceuticals. I want to talk about full vitamin K2. This is a major breakthrough. Full vitamin K2. We know that children in their 8th day are given a shot of K2 after they're born. Vitamin K2 is very important. The problem is that they give both K1 and K2 because they worry about the vitamin K deficiencies causing clotting disorders in children. If the mother, when she was, by the way, I get requests all the time from pregnant mothers, what should I take? You should be taking Vitamin Max, Minerals Plus. You should be taking full vitamin K2 and Mycel D3, Myco D2, and Bone Generator. You should be taking ferritin, which is for iron, Neurogen and Nutriphos for baby development, and the full vitamin K2 is extremely important for bone development, but also to protect against other types of oxidative stress and actually protect your DNA, because it induces what's called apoptosis in cancer when you take high-dose vitamin C or our mixed mineral ascorbate salts, which is the only neutral pH ascorbic acid in the world. There's no other comparison. So Ryan, let's talk about full vitamin K2. Why is this such an important breakthrough in terms of bone mineralization, vessel health, and anti-cancer therapy? Even autoimmune diseases, we turn off cytokines with high-dose vitamin, our full vitamin Power C Plus and full vitamin K2. Turn off the cytokine storms that occur with virus infections and autoimmune disease cytokines.
Well, I think K2 is going to be one of these that jumps on people's radars more and more.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry. Yeah, just like D3 has become so popular, and people are like, of course you would take D3. I think you're going to see the same thing go along with K2. As the implications, as you bring them up, they're extensive for all the different areas of how, our bodies utilize K2 and the benefits that it has. Some of the top things that we've often discussed is making sure that you're building your bones properly is a critical element. Where K2, if people do not have a well-balanced gut with regards to healthy bacteria, which a lot of people don't because of the consumption of sugar, alcohol, stress levels, just poor choices in their diet, throw off that bacterial balance, and then that ends up causing you not producing adequate amounts of K2 and leading to a deficiency that, when it comes to bone issues, then dictates like hormones like osteocalcin and how you regulate how much calcium you're putting into bones versus what you might find in the bloodstream, or unfortunately a lot of people see calcification of tissues that shouldn't occur. And as they go kind of back upstream, start recognizing the benefits and the need for K2 to be utilized for those individuals.
Yeah, in fact, metastatic calcification of artery walls. In fact, one of the most accurate tests I tell people to do, which is a conventional test that most people or even their doctor may not order. They may order something like a stress treadmill test or a CT scan. I don't like CT scans because it's going to 500 chest x-rays in terms of radiation, but at 8-second high-speed CT will actually give you a calcium score of all the arteries through your body. And the calcium score is actually related to the deficiency of K2. So if you're getting a high calcium score of your coronary arteries, you're developing plaque, and it even tells you where the branch points are, say the attachment between the left and your descending and circumflex arteries. And they'll show you exactly where the blockage is occurring and where your plaque's building up. Or a circle of Willis, or the common and internal carotid arteries, or the branch points of your arteries in your leg, and it shows you everything. It's amazing. So it's really important to start conceiving that we're integrating genetics, functional medicine, I call it functional pathology, or physiopathology, because you get physiological imbalances and problems long before you get symptoms or signs. Symptom and sign-based medicine is old hat. It's out of date. It's important to be able to see the symptoms and signs and integrate that in terms of what we call 18th or 19th century medicine. But in the 21st century, you can't just go on inappropriate or very narrow range analysis of a couple blood tests or images. You have to look at physiopathology, and that's called functional medicine, which is what we do here. And then let's look at the next thing that I think is important, is to look at femgesterone. This is important for women that have progesterone deficiencies. Most women, you can correct their estrogen deficiency simply by giving them DHEA, which is hydroepiandrosterone sulfate, 25 milligrams, and 100 milligrams of pregnenolone. But progesterone, I recommend femgesterone pumps, 2 or 3 pumps in the upper abdomen, lower chest, and it'll help to reverse it. The next thing is flushing spells or hot flashes. We use the Flash Away, or we call this the Hormone Synergy. The two names for the same product. Flash Away will stop hot flashes, or Hormone Synergy will stop you from bioconverting female hormone to male as you get into menopause in women and andropause in men, where they go into male menopause, called andropause. And then my next favorite one is let's look at it now here. The next one is the the next would be Enhanced for Men. And this is a very good one for in boosting male testosterone production, but the first step is to use what's called Men's Max. And 95% of men, all you have to do is just release a male hormone binding protein from the male hormone, and you take Hormone Synergy. So 4 Men's Max in the morning and 2 Hormone Synergy, and your man's testosterone, your low T, is better. Next step would be DHEA and pregnenolone, 50 milligrams or 2 tablets of DHEA and 1 of pregnenolone. And the next step would be Enhanced for Men. So the first step is simply Men's Max and Enhanced for Men to reverse male menopause or andropause. It's a big problem. It's not just a benign problem. You lose not only muscle mass, you increase the risk of dementia, bone loss, muscle mass loss, and cardiovascular disease, because it's all tied together to low male hormone levels. So anything to say about Men's Max and Hormone Synergy, Ryan?
Well, on Men's Max, there's such a demand. People, wondering if they have this low T issue, that allows them not to have a good time or not feel like themselves. And this is a great area for a lot of people to think about, is before you get into supplementing with hormones, is making sure that you're creating more free testosterone in your body, because it's a lot of cases, it's not that a man doesn't have the testosterone, it's just unbioavailable testosterone. It's locked up. And so if you can use some natural compounds that you find in Men's Max, which is a unique herbal blend that's been studied that allows this unbinding from sex hormone binding globulin, allows the muscle tissue and other tissues to use the testosterone, becomes highly advantageous without having to, start bringing in pharmaceuticals.
Right. In fact, there's evidence that excess male hormone is actually bioconverted in your fat to female. So I've actually done tests on men, and they're, believe it or not, they're female sex hormones, because they're taking a testosterone gel on their skin or taking injections of depot testosterone. Their male hormone levels are kind of maybe normalized, but their female hormone levels are into orbit. They're higher than their teenage daughter, believe it or not, because their doctor doesn't know squat that if they overdose them on male hormone, they're just going to convert the excess. If they don't block it with our Hormone Synergy, they're going to convert to female, and it's going to counteract the male hormone that they're taking by shots or creams. Just for sake of completeness, I have the defense wipes, antivirals, D-ribose, ATP support, and cytidine choline. We also are just adding NADH. And the NADH and D-ribose, and as well as the ALC 1000, are amazing. I want to talk about curcumin cream, and I use this as a base for my special formula for cellulite. And in that formula, I'm just going to give a peek of it. It'll be Available for those people who want to contact me by a consult, or any of our elite customers can get it free. The curcumin we use with Nutriodine, D-ribose, NADH, mitocarnitine, which is the Vascucare, CoQ10 to increase mitochondrial function, and mitochondrial catalysts. And LipoFlush, conjugated linoleic acid to mobilize fatty tissues, etc. These all increase mitochondrial function. CoQ10 is important. So let's talk about CoQ10 Supreme. This is the only CoQ10 in the world that doesn't crystallize or polymerize. Now, I used to have it made 25, 30 years ago at a compounding pharmacy, and when I'd have it made, they tell me, the compounding pharmacist say, now, Deagle, that this loses 75% of its activity within 3 weeks, and by a month it's basically down to 5% of its biological function. So when you're buying a bottle of CoQ10 from anybody else other than us, you're wasting your money, because they don't know how to not prevent crystallization or polymerization of the CoQ10. We also have the highest quality CoQ10 ubiquinol, which is reserve form, and you should take both if you're trying to prevent heart disease or brain problems like dementia. Let's talk about CoQ10 Supreme, why it's so superior, Ryan, because I think a lot of people kind of misunderstand. They need to take CoQ10 along with their Vascucare, and for bowel problems, we use IBS Care, which is a special slow-release form of carnitine. But the combination of CoQ10 and Vascucare, which is a propionyl L-carnitine in a salt form, is amazing. So CoQ10 Supreme, this stuff is good. I take 6 of them in the morning and 3 later in the day. And people said, how are you the Energizer Bunny? I said, because I take my NutriMeds. I don't just preach it. I take it.
Well, you know what, Dr. Bill, most people, I was having an interesting conversation on my trip to New York, because ran into, nurse, and people were discussing things, and, getting all the discussions I have with you. It's so fun to talk to different people about it, especially ones in the medical profession. And the husband was like, it's one of those things where you're arbitrarily taking 100 milligrams of CoQ10. What kind? Well, just 100 milligrams. It's like, is there a big difference? And it's, I think that's common, that people are going to have that response. It's like, I don't know, I just heard take like 100 milligrams should be good. But the thing is, most people have no clue what they're shooting for, the benefits they're trying to achieve, nor do they have any idea about bioavailability of CoQ10 and how low it really is with regards to what people have access to. And as you're saying here with the NutriMed line, you have a breakthrough technology which basically stops the crystallization of the CoQ10 and allows it to be absorbed at a much higher rate than you see with other forms of CoQ10. And the benefit there is when you do take, say, 100 milligrams, you're getting the dose as you're taking many, many hundreds of milligrams of other forms that people get in the retail market space, and making that impact like you need it to, which is getting the CoQ10 levels up in the plasma. As we age, our CoQ10 levels drop. So over the age of 40, most likely you could probably use some CoQ10. If you've ever had to take medications, particularly things like statin medication, we know those are depleting of CoQ10. And if you're not a person who likes to eat a lot of organ meat, you're probably not getting a whole lot of CoQ10 in your diet either. And so this is a very beneficial way to, as you talked about, the energy production. This is one of the core fundamental things with regards to our body's ability to produce energy, is having adequate amounts of CoQ10. And then for other people, when CoQ10 is adequately supplied, I just quickly turn my attention to that triad where you look at ANTIAGING Max, Nutritrala, and then Supernox in combination.
Yeah, that triad is really important for mitochondrial function. You live as old and well as your mitochondria. Of course, we have the copper Regenemax for tissue regeneration. It works with our NutriFos. We have Colon Cleanse, which is, as I say, this is something to disimpact you and keep your bowel moving along, and also make certain you don't develop what's called fecalis, which is a stone in the little outpoaching of your diverticuli. We have Collagen Max. Let's talk about Collagen Max after Colon Cleanse, because Colon Cleanse clears the body of toxins and plaque. And then I think one of our most popular nutraceuticals is Collagen Max. People go crazy over this. Yeah. It's like the people are buying 6-packs plus one all the time. It's like they pass out to all their girlfriends and say, take it. Your hair's going to look great. Your nails won't break anymore. Your your wrinkles will go. In fact, the research done in Europe on this, that's their supplier, a special lab in Europe. They did studies and found in 6 months a 47% reduction by taking this one thing. Weren't taking any different creams, taking other things like Mountain Red Velvet or anything. Just this alone, without even adding Mountain Red Velvet or Pro Collagen, which is Her Majesty's Royal Jelly, which also makes Pro Collagen. So I tell people the 3 biggies are Hermetics Royal Jelly, Collagen Max, and Mountain Red Velvet, but of those, the most important is Collagen Max. This is amazing stuff.
Right. It really is. It's an incredible thing because you can see the difference on the outside of the body, which makes people all fired up. You know, when it comes to hair, skin, and nails, people are spending, obviously, large amounts of money every single month buying the latest shampoos, creams for your face, getting pedicure, manicure type things to help with nails and make them look good and strong and healthy and so forth. And the fact is, there could be a deficiency within your body that a rate-limiting step, and that's where we talk about choline-stabilized orthosilicic acid. And it basically is critical for the production of elastin, keratin, and collagen in our bodies. Right. And so a self-test is really looking in the mirror, if you will, and your hair, for example, if it's thinning, if it's falling out, if it's breaking easily, that's a sign there. If your nails, again, are weak, brittle, grow very slowly, that's another sign. And wrinkling, if you're seeing a lot of facial wrinkling, in particular where you're exposed to the sun, that's another good sign.
Or if you're older and your skin is like tissue paper, too. Tissue paper skin, like you're old, a 70-year-old or 80-year-old. You start taking Collagen Max and you don't bump into the door jam and all of a sudden your skin doesn't tear anymore. You say, my God, I can't believe it. I don't have tissue paper skin anymore.
Yeah, that's a great call. The tissue paper skin, where it's it's rafted apart, it's ready to be destroyed, and it's, like you said, as soon as you touch it, hit it hard, it does no durability whatsoever, and to be able to get that back, it's a great thing. Now, I want to say, when you think about these issues I just talked about, and Dr. Bill's talking about on the outside of your body, what you have to realize is those same things are happening internally. You just can't see them. So your body is falling apart internally. What does that mean? That has to do with your bones. 30% of your bones being built out of collagen. It has to do with the elastin, and that's the vascular system, how well the blood pressure is being able to work by dilating and constricting the vascularity of the vessel walls. That's an important aspect. And then, obviously, the way that ligaments and tendons and all these components are built in our bodies, it's all reliant to make sure that you have adequate production of collagen, elastin, and keratin. And so this is a really neat solution for a lot of issues.
I think we launched it about 4 years ago, the Collagen Max.
Yeah.
And since then, I can't tell you how many people we stopped their advance of their aortic aneurysm. Not one of our people has had any expansion of their aortic aneurysm if they followed our protocol and took Collagen Max. And I usually recommend to take Collagen Max, high-dose vitamin Power C, that's by Power C, but the Collagen Max and high-dose Power C, and they may add Mountain Red Velvet, but Collagen Max is most important. If you check with your ultrasound and make sure it's not expanding in size so it gets over 5 centimeters, you're laughing. You don't end up with a requirement for a Dacron graft. And if you don't have a Dacron graft, you die. Because it can dissect and bam, you're all of a sudden growing wings and you're flipping around some clouds. Cognition Plus, and people say, Deagle, why are you so smart? Well, one of my main reasons is I've already had 4, not 2, 4 today, Cognition Plus some brain power. And if you want to have brain power, if you want to make sure that neuron A talks to neuron B and doesn't lose the signal, you already have 5 bars inside your brain instead of 1 bar. You want to be on Cognition Plus. Ryan, tell us a little about why it's so good for your brain, and it protects you against the stress of living, the stress of life, the stress of nutrient deficiencies, the stress of Wi-Fi networks, cell phones, toxic food, fluoridated water, and other various toxins that are put in your food, and says it's good for you. It'll preserve you. Future generations of astronomy archaeologists will be able to exhume your body, and it won't decay because no self-respecting organism will eat you.
I love Cognition Plus. There's a lot of people obviously concerned with cognitive function as they age and they see their parents or their grandparents and see things that have occurred with their lives, and they say, hey, look, that's something I certainly want to prevent. And that's the good news is we can do a lot to take on and tackle this toxic world and stop some of the damage effects that it may be having on the way that our body's going to function, in particular our brain, because that's one of the scariest things is to think that you're still alive and you may be totally healthy, but your brain not functioning the way it should could be stop you from doing everything you want to do, including remembering anything about your life and your family and so forth. So this is a very complicated, I shouldn't say complicated, but complex formulation. It's got quite a few different ingredients that are kind of the who's who when it comes to brain and brain health and protection of the brain. So from activated B vitamins like your B6 and activated B12 and activated form of folic acid, you're also looking at things like acetyl L-carnitine, N-acetylcysteine, ginkgo, bacopa, phosphatidylserine, vinpocetine, methylated resveratrol, and even huperzine A. What's neat about this formulation of Cognition Plus is it's covering so much ground.
Yeah.
A lot of
huperzine
A,
can
pick and choose one of those
something
things and say, oh, I'm going to try ginkgo or I'm going to try phosphorine. But it can be very difficult, and this is a nice way, almost like using a multivitamin mineral formula, but in a way you're just using one that's very comprehensive for the brain, because it's hard to know what might be really the right thing specifically for you to get the best help.
Yeah, you know what they should say, actually? I like put taglines under different supplements or nutraceutical approaches. I should call this one High Q, which means says hi to your brain. You know Bradley Cooper is now a A-list actor. He got 3 nominations for... Yeah, he's an amazing guy. I mean, he does the Elephant Man in New York City. He did, of course, the Sniper, that Sniper movie, really, that was amazing. I mean, his acting is like so real. He gets right into the actual personhood of it, right? And he did a movie a couple of years ago called Limitless. And guess what the nutraceutical was that he was actually marketing? And he wasn't marketing all the other components present in Cognition Plus. He was just talking about a nutraceutical discovery that's called huperzine A. And guess what? It's already in Cognition Plus. I tell people, if you're a student taking this, your IQ will go up. If you're a multitasking middle-aged person that's saying, I can't remember my full grocery list, and now everything about my parents are now getting slight early dementia, and my kids are driving me nuts, and I'm trying to multitask and handle home and a job and an aggravating husband and all the other stuff, and you start taking Cognition Plus and you sail through the day and say, man, I did that, and I still got 2 hours for me time because I'm more competent now. And I tell people, this is like Bradley Cooper's Limitless. This stuff is amazing. And you take that along with things like our NutriFos and our Omega Supreme Krill, our Brain Power, which is the vinpocetine to protect oxidative stress in your brain. It's a toxic world, whether it's a cell phone on the side of your head or the toxic bread you ate with glyphosates or the toxic chemicals from Fukushima Daiichi that you're getting because you decide to eat that fish anyway, even though the California government's finally saying, well, we didn't test, but it's probably not good for you. But we won't tell you how many parts per million or what isotope pathway it is because we don't want to believe that people like Deagle are actually telling the truth, man. This guy's nuts. He needs to be locked up, but we can't lock him up because he's armed and dangerous. And he'll sue our pants off because he's half a lawyer. Well, guess what, guys? You need to protect yourself because it's a crazy toxic world, whether it's the cell phones, Wi-Fi networks, toxic fluoride in the water, or whatever. And if you don't take Cognition Plus, you don't want to run out of brain before you run out of years. It's not good to drool for the last 20 years in limbo before you go on to the next world. Drooling is bad. Drooling is bad. Right?
Right. Nobody wants
they lived
that.
to be 90, but after 70 it was all just drool. They were just putting in a nursing home and they drool for the last of their life. People say, that can't be the end of my life. Yeah, it can be, actually. And not only that, a lot of time before, you want to be competent so when you're 70, you can still beat your son or daughter in poker or cards or intellectual fencing. And in fact, we found out from research, if you have a healthy person in their latter years, 80 or 90, they actually have a more complex and healthier brain and have more neural connections than a younger person at 30, 40, 50, 60. So this idea that an older person has to be a dummy, no. A healthy older person actually has a more complex brain than a younger person. More neural connections, more advanced. So don't believe all the crap that you have to fall apart because you're older. It's time to fall apart like a teddy bear with the arm coming off before Christmas so they get a new teddy. No. You can take care of your brain. Your brain can still be humming along, just like, what do they call that? Blue Shadow, Bentley in Britain. That's, a couple $1 million. You could be the blue shadow in your brain at age 70, 80, 90. You don't have to be, a car falling apart with, the front end alignment's gone, the engine's blowing, black smoke coming out the back end, and it's rattling when you get over 50 miles an hour. No. Your brain can be humming. Right? Just like Bradley Cooper, Limitless. So along with brain power. Next, I'd like to talk about cod liver liquid. Our mega cod liver liquid is important. And I can't stress how much this is going to reverse all the lipid disorders. When you see people given HMG CoRE reductase inhibitor, I want to slap or electrocute or some form of intellectual and physical torture to any physician that gives these drugs to anybody. This is a class of drugs that's dangerous as hell. And simply if you want to lower oxidized non-neuronal hydroxy cholesterol, get rid of fatty liver, lower VLDL3 and small particle HDL, you want to take just simply omega cod liver liquid. Head to head, it will lower all abnormal lipids. The best way to test it is to do lipid electrophoresis, not what your knucklehead doctor does, which is an NMR spectroscopy of your fatty acids through the conventional LabCorp request. Ask for a lipid electrophoresis, and guess what? His eyeballs will rotate in opposite directions. They'll say, I didn't know that test could be done. That's because he's a knucklehead. And you have to understand this. There is no limit of stupidity among physicians in this country and around the world. It's not just America. We don't have a corner on the market of stupid doctors. They're everywhere. I consult all over the planet. And it doesn't matter if it's China, Russia, South Africa, Guatemala, whatever, Ecuador, you name it. There's brilliant doctors all over the world, and there's stupid as hell doctors. And by and large, the brilliant doctors are constantly persecuted by the really stupid dangers and determined to make certain that nothing ever advances medicine. That's why we get really brilliant ones like Dr. Nesterov in Russia, real brilliant ones in China, but you got really stupid ones. And by and large, they outnumber them by 999 to 1. It's not good. So next I want to talk about cell defense. This is probably one of the most undersung nutraceuticals in the world. Cell defense is curcumin with a slow release thing to stop DNA damage, to stop inflammation, to protect the cells from oxidative stress. It's important. Tell us about cell defense. What makes it so remarkable?
Making sure you can get enough in your body to have its effect is what makes it really remarkable. Curcumin is something that's widely used in nutritional products. You can buy straight curcumin products and so forth that are touted as having good bioavailability, but you really need to make sure that what you're taking can really have that effectiveness. And so there's two advantages here when you use cell defense. One, it's got high yield, 350 milligrams of curcuminoids per tablet, and then it's delivered in a format that's controlled release and enhanced with bioperin, which is a black pepper extract that's been shown in humans to increase its absorption.
Yeah, and welcome back, and we're plowing through them, Z to A. We're down to cell detox glutathione. I love this stuff. It is amazing. That along with Nutritrella and Regenerex. This is the big ones. If you're wanting to stop free radicals in your body from stress, radiation, cosmic rays, stress of life, because let's put it this way. Here's the equation. Stress of life, right? SOL. You like that, hey? Stress of life equals free radicals, and free radicals equals magnesium loss and damage to DNA and cell membrane proteins, which means decay, destruction, senescence, and death. So when you're taking cell detox glutathione, this is more powerful than the IV glutathione we give to put people in hyperbaric chambers to stop oxidative stress while they're in 100% oxygen-free atmospheres. So, Ryan, let's talk about cell detox glutathione. If you're trying to protect your back, your eyes, your retina, your brain tissue, your heart, your blood vessels, solid organs from toxins, you're a firefighter, you're a military person working around crazy stuff, you're a nuclear engineer, you're just a person living in a world which is toxic as hell. I mean, people don't realize, the average person has 400 times more lead than a Scotsman 300 years ago. And that's only one heavy metal. We're not talking about cadmium that might be got a perch in your teeth. Now geoengineering of the planet with thorium, strontium, barium, and aluminum nanoparticles. A nanoparticle barium 10,000 times more toxic than lead. And all these damn chemicals and heavy metals and radiotoxins from Fukushima are all in your body, and you think, you're going to live well? I think, how delusional are you out there if you're not detoxing your body and protecting your DNA and stopping oxidative stress? You're not going to live as well as your parents and grandparents. The human race is going to decay to become a very inferior, epigenetically representative form of humanity unless we reverse the damage to our ecosystem and detox our bodies. And the people that take NutriMeds, like I'm recommending now, their health and their lifespan is going to be significantly different because in the next 20 years we will conquer aging, but unfortunately, if we continue poisoning the world, the only people that are going to survive are going to live in domed cities because we're screwing up the planet. People say, no, they're not. We're not doing that. I think, well, you're delusional, and your delusion will eventually be gone because you'll be like the dinosaurs. You're going to cease to exist. And one of those things that will protect you from ceasing to exist is S-acetylglutathione, cell detox glutathione. Tell us about it. Why is it so important and amazing?
This glutathione is top antioxidant that our body produces. Certainly, there's a correlation between people getting sick or staying constantly inflamed and moving into disease states with their levels of glutathione. So if the body's unable to keep up with its demands, that's a big problem. So some people are kind of already stuck in that feed-forward process. What a great formulation to be able to add to handle the massive oxidative stress that people, are bombarded by. And so with this formulation, what makes it a key is it's not falling apart. It's not breaking down during the digestive process. And so it's able to get into the red blood cells and work effectively as the antioxidant glutathione and support the body and protect it the way that you want it to as one of the top antioxidants that it produces. So that's one of the keys. And instead of playing these games of taking the individual ingredients that people assume will build glutathione, that's not quite how it works. Right. I also point people in the direction too of at least looking at something like Regenerex. So people go, oh wow, glutathione, I want to be able to produce that. But not everybody has to take glutathione. What you'd like is your body to recognize its own ability to produce glutathione and the need for it to do so. And so I point people in the direction of nutrients, right, like Regenerex or Cell Defense that we just talked about. But Regenerex is kind of a greatest hit of very unique ingredients that include the curcuminoids, the methylated resveratrol, the green tea, the sulforaphane glucosinolates, as well as the bioperin. And why those ingredients are so important is they help with regulation of what's called the NRF2 pathway. And NRF2 is a communication pathway that when our bodies need to regulate things like inflammation, detoxification, and its own antioxidant production, like glutathione, it requires this NRF2 pathway to be open and functioning properly. And so when people think, hey, what's a great antioxidant I should take ongoing long-term, something like Regenerex, or if you're looking at something that's really complete and also dealing with the issues of bombarding by estrogens, xenoestrogen detox, because it includes all those great ingredients I just described in Regenerex, but it's also enhanced with nutrients that are designed to help with the regulation from either xenoestrogens or those estrogens our bodies produce.
Exactly. A couple other nutraceuticals. We have carnosine that prevents sugar glycation. Carboblock. This is really important to block carbohydrates. And I tell people it's a perfect match with lactose blocker. Lactose is wrecks your bowel. And most people don't realize that only less than 2% of the population is the lactase enzymes. It's the only neutral pH lactase in the world. You'll see lots of people even add it to different milk products and so on. If you buy that far milk, what's called, that's ultra filtered and so on, they'll have lactase in there. All the pharmaceutical lactase enzymes, those are not neutral pH. They don't get it in the small bowel or in the large bowel. Only our lactose blocker, and Carboblock is really important. There's acarbose, which is a pharmaceutical kind of grade of Carboblocker, is only half as effective as our Carboblocker. So if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to lower blood insulin, which is also toxic besides blood sugar, if you're trying to build up muscle, if you're trying to literally stop excess hyperinsulinemia and hypergluconemia, people don't realize it's not just glucose and insulin that causes troubles. It's glucagon, and glucagon I call the effect of what's called the chocolate bar per hour effect. I call it the what happens. Your body is going to make sugar in your liver and kidneys. If you have elevated glucagon, it converts it through gluconeogenesis to convert protein into sugar. And if you take Carboblocker, you're going to help block that. And so that's important, isn't it? Carboblocker and lactose blocker are important.
Yeah. I think that, those that know that have lactose issues, I mean, this is a godsend, really, to be able to take it, knock down that, negative effect that lactose has on so many individuals. It's so common that people have to deal with it. And avoidance is obviously a great thing, but it's not always a rational or reasonable thing to expect you can completely avoid it. So it's great to have. Yeah. I think Carboblocker, though, should, raise the awareness for virtually anybody because people, we're all suffering from, effects of the glycemic response of our food.
Yeah, exactly.
The more that our
That's
food
why-
has been processed, the higher glycemic response we're going to have. When we use something like Carb Blocker, what it's doing is it's changing the glycemic response our bodies have. And so even though we eat foods that may want to trigger a more rapid spike in our glucose levels, it doesn't happen because of this material. It's derived from brown seaweed. It's amazing its effectiveness. It's amazing its effectiveness at blunting this effect of glucose spiking.
Exactly.
So Carb Blocker should really be pretty much in everybody's cabinet.
The other ones I'd like to talk about are CalmMind and BrainMag. And our CalmMind Cherry is so popular. People buy flats of it in BrainMag. We talked about Brain Power before, but the BrainMag and CalmMind, let's talk about this combination. We've also in the past talked about Bone Generator. We have Bladder Up for bladder spasms, Biotin Plus for diabetics, BioLVR we talked for methylation and for mood disorders, Berberstatin for getting rid of yeast and gut problems, ANTIAGING Max, of course, it's a triad. It stimulates the SIRT1 gene. The cholesterol oxidation, protecting against mitochondrial aging, Allison Med, Allergon and Allerblock for allergies, and of course ALC 1000, acetylcarnitine, ageless, the vanilla and chocolate, and adrenal support. Let's back up and talk about for a moment some of the ones that I call BrainMag and CalmMind. These are fantastic, aren't they? Yeah,
well, CalmMind has been one of the top sellers in the NutriMed line for years now because it doesn't take long. It takes people, take one or two scoops when they're at a state of higher anxiety, challenges, raging issues, and all of a sudden, 20 minutes or so later, they're completely different. And that has a lot to do with basically the neurotransmitters, the things that help us to relax and calm down and not crave things like alcohol and sugars and things like that, even some drugs. CalmMind has this very rapid effect. So people fall in love with it. It's designed so that it will be used with kids all the way on up to the adults and elderly. So that's a great formulation to have. The BrainMag has just stormed out of the gates because people have such a great response to this. And what it is a specialized form of magnesium. It's in a powder, very flavored. You take a very small amount of material, and it brings the magnesium into the brain very quickly. It can have a major effect on a lot of challenges, including people that suffer a lot of headaches.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Ryan. We did go Z to A today. We got them all covered. As I say, if you need help, again, do contact us by email. We will give you a proper consult form, which we have available now. We'll give you a much more thorough consultation by email or phone, and we're available. You can call in any hour of any show, any day, and raise a question. Just make sure you tell exactly what it is. We will be back in just a couple minutes with our next guest, and we're hoping to connect with Michael in China. Hopefully he'll be there. I did confirm it over the weekend. And thank you, Ryan. We'll see you then on Thursday.